Got it.
Please start again.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Good morning. So we still have the morning spirit, everyone here. So nice meeting you here. Even finally, we see you. I saw you in virtually because we sometimes only discuss in mobile. So may I have some reactions? How are you today? Maybe you can, your expression. Nice, Rizka, Mbak Pipit, or you can, Pak Wido, how are you? Mbak Rolly. Great, yeah. So today we are going to share about, mentions about the pigs. Actually, why I proposed this book, well, it's, the book is actually a gift, a birthday gift for my friend, but it's, you know, it took some time to open it. You know, we sometimes have pile of books and it took some time for us. So I propose at the same time, I need to read as well. Yeah. So we put ourselves to read it. So I start to share my screen. Is it presented? Can you see?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see.
So just to ensure that we are on the right meeting, so have you everyone have already received the invitations? Today's discussion is about the pig secret from the new science of expertise. Actually, I have the other versions, the book here. Maybe if you see that the illustration is the person in the swimming pool, but I saw in the online versions, it's actually the same content. But this book is with the small font, so it's very struggle to read. So it's better for me to read them through online because we cannot Zoom. And what we are going to see here is from the title, it's pig. So I searched the illustrations about the peak of the mountains, some things that we see it from afar, it's beautiful, and if probably we get to the top, the view is more beautiful. So when I see about this book, there is also some quotes stating from the writers, Andrew Erickson, that learning isn't a way of reaching one potential, but rather a way of developing it. So what do you think about this quote? Any opinions? Do you have something in your mind?
It's better to read it quickly because when you read it slowly, I get confused.
Okay, so this actually from reading this quote, it's actually I become more optimistic because sometimes when we learn something, we say that, oh, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not good at it. I don't have any talents on it. So I think leave it that way. You know, that's something, for example, why I don't like piano, because maybe I feel that it's not my talent. So I don't want to play the piano. And this book is actually recall my childhood memories. So at the same time, maybe I should learn piano sometimes, even it's already late in my age. But this book is showing us that there's no potential itself is something that we develop. Something it's not something that is given like created from God and you are born genius or not, but something it's there is a way of developing it. But how to it that everybody has their own journey. As you see that we have our personal journey to the peak of our mountain. So anybody likes?
I think this is very inspirational, yeah, because it does give all of us hope. As you say, it's never too late to start learning the piano.
Yeah, that's books actually, it's inspired me. Oh, there are lots of things that I can learn actually, even I'm in the this age. But if you
can I clarify something from this book? So does it mean that we can develop talent or we can develop potential then?
Yes.
Or what does it mean? Yeah.
When we talk about potential, it's some things that we don't know. It's something like the iceberg, you know, the analogy of iceberg. We saw some.
Hello.
Okay, the iceberg has just come.
Ragil is
Bad
Wait till she
connection, I guess.
I am on.
Hi, Mike. We have two mics, huh?
That's
This
it.
one repeat.
It's a reserve.
Ah, that's cool.
okay.
Welcome back, Ragil. No, not yet.
Yes, I think.
Not yet.
mean-
Surprisingly, the slide is still there. So she's
Mhm.
still somehow connected.
We're talking about that.
Oh, no. Now it's completely gone.
Oh,
So what do you think, guys? Do you think talent can be developed?
well, I think in my opinion, it's all potentials. And if it's potential, it's something like Ragil said, it's unknown. And for that unknown to be known is through discovery, and whether it's self-discovery or shared discoveries. So I guess what we do now is one of them, right? The shared discovery.
But I have an impression that if it's discovered, that means you already have it first and then we discover it. What if the case like we don't have that potential? Can we develop it from zero?
Now Ragil is back now.
Finally, maybe
Hello,
I should
Ragil.
close the
Welcome back.
video. Maybe I should close my video. So
Okay, just keep. We kept going after you'd gone.
Mhm.
I think
Oh,
if I
okay.
take my own life as an example, 50 years ago, before smartphones, I couldn't use a smartphone.
Mhm.
So I would have thought I had no potential, but now I'm still not able to use a smartphone to its full extent, but at least I can use it.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Something that you need to struggle to use it, or hello?
Yeah, you need to focus, on what you
Focus.
want.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
for my smartphone is much smarter than I am. I don't want to be embarrassed by it showing how smart it really is. So I try
Yeah.
not to learn it all. But no, there's just so much there now. Technology is moving so fast.
Yes, that's true. Very dynamic. And the latest discussions, maybe I could use the analogy of the iceberg. Sometimes we see people very good at it, very excellent, genius of the chess master, or good swimmer, or maybe like we know currently in the Olympics, there are good athletes or becomes the gold medals, but in below of the iceberg is something bigger that you need practice. But what kind of practice to make you become a master? And also what kind of practice it is that we need to learn from this book. It's actually very interesting. Maybe you also know the concept of 10,000 rules from Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell. Actually, Malcolm is based on the research of this Anderson's. So when I read this book, I'm looking for Outliers book and see that there is a reference based on this book, the Anderson research. The research is banned, but actually the Malcolm has misinterpreted about 10,000 rule itself, because it's we will know it later on. So
I mean, maybe he hasn't misinterpreted, he's just interpreted it in a different way.
yeah, maybe. maybe it's more on a focus on the number of the how many hours that become that lead us to become the master. But actually, in this book, Pick mentions that the focus is not only about the number of hours, but they mention it's about deliberate practice and also purposefully practice. But it's a teaser. What is it? And we will see
I
it
think
later.
a good example of that I can think of is 1953, when Queen Elizabeth became queen.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Englishman who ran the 4-minute mile, and people have been running, the 4-minute mile, so to speak, for 2,000 years, the beginning of the Olympics. But he was the first person that actually achieved it. And then within the next 9 months, there were 5 or 6 other people who also ran faster than I forgot what his name was, than the athlete, the British athlete. So once somebody had given the way, it then allowed people, to develop their skill. So the potential was probably there, but they didn't know. And people for 2,000 years didn't know. But when they knew that they could, then they developed it and ran very fast.
Yeah. Interesting. So any opinions about this idea? Others' idea, maybe? Want to respond?
About talent?
Yeah, yes. About potential and whether actually, yes, there is a potential and they need to develop it. Or
If you say there is a potential, I think basically talent is actually a mixture between something that you already have, hereditary, and another thing is a factor of emotion. Someone can have a certain talent which was given to him given down by their parents, hereditary. However, if the emotions are not into it, that talent may not develop.
yeah. So there is a mix between not only
The ability,
talent,
but also so there's a factor of emotion.
Emotions like mind, heart, and hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
The alignment between your what is in your mind, heart, and hand. Yeah, Pak, yeah.
Yes, well, that emotion can be triggered by certain situation that it becomes he develops that talent after it's triggered by a certain condition or perhaps a certain experience. Then he feels that he needs to develop that talent. So being parents or someone who has children, of course, we always try to develop their talents by giving them a certain emotional feedback that can trigger them to do it by themselves without being pushed all the time.
Yeah.
You see, many times that we always try to force our children. We know that our children has a certain talent or a certain ability. I will not say talent, but a certain ability of a certain skill. However, it doesn't seem that they are developing it. So sometimes you try to trick them into wanting to develop it, and sometimes very difficult if the time isn't right. If emotionally they are not ready. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So actually there are lots of it's also a combinations between not only about what you actually already have, but you need to develop it anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Now we are going to today's learning journey. So try to make it as a small mind map into our journey today. So we will start on the author's backgrounds because it is interesting to know who they are before we dive deep into the books itself. And that is also about the idea of the gift. Actually, we already mentioned it previously about the talent, the gift, like that, and about the power of purposeful practice harnessing adaptability, and there are many more. Until at the end, we will discuss about what we can implement in our daily life, what insight that we can get from this book discussion. So we start from the author. There are two authors, but the main authors is Anders Ericsson and Robert Pohl. And there is a small typo previously, but Ericsson is actually a cognitive psychologist, and he a professor of the psychology in Florida State University. And the other is Robert Pohl. Is actually interesting background, is from physics and mathematics, but very passionate at writing. And what is makes interesting as well, that Ericsson is studied focus on expert performance. So there is top performers in music, chess, sports, the athletes, and they want and he and the team also want to know what are behind of this expert performer. And he focused to deal with the deliberate practice that later we will discuss. And what is the deliberate practice? And this is something that we need to high concentration practice beyond our comfort zone. So there is, if we see it, there is no fun of it. So because it's sometimes we are to enjoy what we are doing now, and we just think that it's enough. I think being in this position is enough, or something like that. We sometimes feel like that. And this is also a means of how expert performer acquire their superior performance. So based on his research, he saw that deliberate practice is behind all those experts. But is it true, or is it maybe it's debatable or not? Maybe we can discuss as well. And the Robert Pohl here, this is an interesting collaborations, because he's actually physics and PhD in mathematics, and also magna cum laude, but he has a passion in writing. So he make a career transitions from researcher and mathematics professor to become the authors, and become also a consultant until now. If Ericsson is already died during this pandemic, but not due to COVID, but it's more to like the age, it's like heart things. And now Robert Pohl still focus on, if you see the profile, he still focus on the deliberate practice consultant. So I saw also in the LinkedIn profile this about how he works for that, and he still focused on deliberate practice consultant. So from the first part, there is also the idea of the power of purposeful practice. But before going into this, maybe I would like to have some ideas or opinions about what training that we actually know nowadays. Maybe I should stop the screen before going into. What do you think about training that you already know, learning? Because have you ever heard or know about deliberate practice before? Purposeful
Yes,
practice?
I've heard about deliberate practice from the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. The word grit itself means hard work. So if we want to achieve the level of expertise, we need to input deliberate practice as often as we can. Sometimes people put a number at 10,000 hours, but yeah, I think that's the first time when I heard it from the book Grit.
Great, yeah. So behind the story of these books is actually there is experimentals that done by the Ericsson. So the one of the well-known experiments, maybe that's behind the story of 10,000 rules, if there are, he makes 3 groups of violinists who master of it. You never heard about it? These guys just say, okay. So the first one is very good at it and very excellent, and the other is planned to be teachers, like that, teachers. And the one with the plan with the teacher is has practiced 4,000 hours, while the other very good at it, it's 8,000 hours. But the master or the elite performers, 10,000 rules. But how the practice they've done, it's that mentioned also about deliberate practice. And from the first chapters, it is also mentions the power of purposeful practice. So it's actually, there are some of practice that we know, like the usual approach, the naive practice. So the situation is when once a person reaches a level of acceptable, so it become automatically automatically know about what they are doing. So if the number, whether it is 10,000 or 5,000, it doesn't make them lead to improvement if they don't, if they just do the same thing, repeating some things. So the naive practice is repeating something that won't make you better, but if you repeat the same action, behavior without any other improvement, it becomes automations, and even you're not improving at all. I mean, you're not getting better and better. So that's the naive approach. While the purposeful practice is actually starting from, you have specific and well-defined goals. So it's actually you have the reason, the why of you need to acquire thought skills. Then after that, during the practice, we get some feedbacks, of course. And in the process, we need some coaches or maybe trainers who are good at it and to guide us. And therefore, during the practice, we identify our weakness and we work on our weakness. And sometimes we see that our goal is too big and we can break the goal into smaller pieces. Then, so the achievement can be, make it smaller, so it's not make you stressed or frustrated. And also in this time, there is a push you outside your comfort zone, which means that there is no enough or good. I think it's good enough or something like that. So we need to challenge ourselves to think about what we can, how we can do it better, how we can improve better. Every time there is lots of questioning ourselves like that. So it makes us to push ourselves into outside our comfort zone. So sometimes in the process, we have some plateau, when the learning in the flat zone. Have you ever felt that way in the flat situations when everything is bored? Do you want to share something maybe?
No, I think we get through that stage, don't we, where we, in a way, it's tied, I think, with motivation. Yeah, we get bored with what we're doing, so we're really not focused. For me, the important block is the next one. Yeah, full attention to the task at hand. For me, this is people with laser thinking. I don't know if you've ever met anybody with a laser thinking approach. I mean, they're very boring people, but their attention is 100% on doing that task. And the majority of us don't have that dedication. Yeah, we want to achieve, but not at all costs. These people just have that one goal, yeah, to be master of what they're doing. and they focus all of their attention on that. And that's the difference in a way between success and doing okay. Yeah, being a master and doing okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Ragil, it's
Yes.
to me it's funny because I've heard the term plateaus. The first time is on diet culture.
Yeah.
A lot of people goes on diet and then they what is it called? Their weight, they lose weight, and after that they hit plateau. They cannot lose any more weight.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it happens also with skills.
Yeah, that's right. And we can also analogy that by using diet analogy as well. Sometimes when we think that stop, there is no more losing weight, maybe just suddenly stop, and even we try to, then something that we need to review. Maybe we should make a different approach of it during our diet. So there is our body maybe in the situation of plateau and get bored of, I know the patterns of you would try to do, and you need to try different approach so your body can respond to it. Maybe it's something like there's a situations when we find the plateau situation, we questioning ourselves, but what else, using different approaches, some things that maybe we never thought about it. If we found that there is no improvement, maybe I should make a different approach to do this or to practice this. Or even maybe in the situation, maybe I should change my my coach. if we think that maybe there is no improvement, something like that, or to find different perspective. And that's
Maybe
actually
the coach has reached his or her plateau.
Yeah.
I also have reached my plateau.
Yeah. So maybe
I-
you want to share about a situation when you experience plateau and how you deal with it.
Yes. Actually, then again, it comes back to motivation and passion. Yeah. That's why sometimes coaches and trainers are very important. Meaning even the best football players, they need coach. If without a good coach, the team will probably not win. So one of the job of the coaches actually is to maintain that passion and that semangat lah, the passion.
Motivation.
Yeah. It's like me. I play the piano sometimes. I try to be good at it. I'm self-taught actually. Some parts I'm self-taught. I practice by myself. I don't really have a teacher, but I feel that I have reached a plateau that I cannot improve my playing. So that's it. So sometimes, even though we have passion, but there's not really anyone to guide us, it is very difficult to increase at that plateau phase. You have to like climb up again at the plateau phase.
Yeah.
So it's also a combination of coaching and objective. Someone have to remind you of the objectives. But then again, I play the piano not for a certain objective. I see a lot of children in the musical conservatory, even at small age, they practice piano every day, at least 4 hours a day, every day. And sometimes they're even homeschooled. Like Mike said, sometimes they can be very boring because what they learn in life is basically what they are trained to do. I myself am a generalist, so I don't have a very short attention span. So focusing too much on one thing gets me bored. So it depends on the person also.
Yeah. Interesting.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Are you a competitive person? Because probably a competition can make you reach another part.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm not a competitive person. Actually, I'm more of a supportive person. If you look at the Ki Hajar Dewantoro, there's Tuturi Handayani, there's Ingar Sungtulodo, there's Ingmadio Mangunkarso. I'm more like a supporting person. So I prefer to see other people succeed and get the limelight or get the attention rather than myself. So I will support them. Maybe it's a teacher's code, perhaps, that they're more important in making other people more successful than
You're
ourselves.
definitely a coach material, Pak Widow.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you, but I don't know if that's good. But you know, some people say that teachers are not important. I say that's wrong. People always admire Einstein. No one ever mentioned about his teacher. But I think,
Mhm.
but teachers actually are, then they're not really supposed to be in the limelight or the one in the headlines. Basically, they're the one who support people to become successful.
Yeah.
So that's why we need a lot of teachers.
Yeah, agree with that.
I mean,
So-
teachers are also able, because of their experience, to see when
Yeah.
somebody's going slightly off course, and it gets them back onto where they should be going. And the problem I see with people who are self-taught in English is they do really well, they struggle, they work really hard, but they don't achieve what they want to of fluency. And they really reach that plateau where they've put so much effort in, they're tired of doing any more, but they're not improving. And sometimes it's because the foundation of their English is weak, and they need to unlearn some things. So, you know, they get to a certain stage where they need to really use the plateau to relearn the basics, learn the grammar, for instance, learn the vocabulary, learn the pronunciation before they can really improve. And I see that in Toastmasters, you know, where people whose English is not really good, they really work hard, but they're not achieving it. And it's not because of lack of hard work. It's they've got a different approach, or they've got to a different stage, and it's very difficult for them to get out of it. It's like, you know, picking a ladder that's got 20 rungs on it, and you're trying to get up 25 rungs. Yeah, you need the right ladder, you need the right technique, and that's where a teacher can help. Individually, we don't see that. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, but in Toastmasters, we see people with different personalities. We see people that's just really enthusiastic to join the competition, but some people enjoy being at Toastmasters just for the information, for the new knowledge, just for the practice. But if you challenge them to go to a competition, they don't necessarily too enthusiastic about that. So it depends on the person also.
Yeah.
Or the community.
Yeah.
Personalities, actually.
Personality.
Yeah.
Guys, do you think plateau can be translated as kejenuhan also in bahasa? Like when we reach titik kejenuhan and then we somehow cannot progress.
Plateau basically means flat. Yeah, it means a point where you cannot, you're a level that is difficult to, it's like a glass ceiling. You just reach that height, and it's very difficult to smash above it. So that's plateau.
I mean, it's
flat.
The flat in terms of motivation. It's no more motivation.
No more. You feel that it's very difficult to improve.
Yeah, you find there is some barriers that cannot make you to get better.
To pass.
To pass.
That's why sometimes you need someone to coach you, because sometimes once you have someone to smash that imaginary boundary, actually you'll find a new set of learning that will motivate you again. So I don't know, maybe it's a lot of people that do not have the opportunity to have a coach or a teacher, because we see so many talented people who just never become world famous because they never had the opportunity to have extra support.
But there's also situations when they don't get support, and it also triggered them to achieve something. But at the end, they also need teachers and coach at the same time.
Yes, because according to this graphic, purposeful practice. It's like being a badminton player. You can
Yeah.
play badminton, but if you're not having the objective to win the gold medal in the Olympics, then you're just fine just playing for fun. But if you have an objective, of course, you will have a regimen of training
Mhm.
and diet, I guess. So not
Yeah.
everybody can have that opportunity. It's like Ginting. He's someone who's from a small village, and
Mhm.
someone noticed him and he becomes a winner, or well, almost a winner. So
Yeah.
it's even the world famous footballers, sometimes they found them in a small club. Imagine if there's no headhunters who found Ronaldo, for example, or he will just become another player in the village, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree
So
with that. Yeah.
so it's luck, factor of luck and opportunity.
So yeah. It's I also agree that there is also a factors of situations when people finally found you, yeah, finally found you and
Nobody finds
notice
us.
that
So
headhunter.
please find me. I'm here. I give you my address.
Yeah. And it's yeah, agree that we need to define our own goals when we learn something, so it becomes our purposeful practice. And I think everybody also share about the situation in when you're dealing with the plateaus. You can also try to find a way, try to find a support system who also can help you to find a way, maybe.
I think there's also a factor of this. There's two important elements of achieving that goal. Not just the skill, the practice, but also the knowledge. We see a lot of people who plays football, they come in the kampong, they're very good. But basically they're just practicing their skills. They're just playing without really learning the knowledge. Where knowledge has to be taught. They have to listen to or learn from experienced people. So
Yeah.
actually, the media of YouTube and all that is very important, because we can learn now we have the opportunity to learn the knowledge, not just a skill. The skill you have to do by yourself or you have to practice. But the knowledge we can learn from YouTube. I learn a lot from YouTube.
And YouTube can also provide the motivation. Yeah, you can see what can be done, so you know you can do it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it also can effectively be a virtual coach.
Yes.
Yes. So coaching or trainings is much needed as well in this.
Yeah.
Okay, we go on to any comments, Pak Johnson?
I would like, sorry. When you guys talking about the learning curve, any words on the talent versus willingness? You may be playing music, you may have a passions, but if you don't have the talent, versus those who, sorry, Pak Wido, I use you for example, right? So you learn to play,
Yes.
for example, one songs. You have the passions, but you have been learning this song, let's say take a 1 month, then come Pipit, learn one day and see just fluently like play much better than you. So
Of course, people are very talented.
how do you do that? How do you distinguish between the talent, the passions, and the learning curve? Like some people have no learning curve, for example. Any thoughts on that things?
I think the purpose of the book really is to prove that you don't need to have talent. Yeah, you need to have a willingness to work, and you need to have help in finding the right direction.
Yeah.
I think most of us probably have latent talent, but it needs to be motivated out of us. Yeah, we need somebody to encourage us to keep going.
Yes. What is?
Well, a lot of people use that as an excuse, actually. Some people who's lazy at doing something usually say that they're not talented. But in fact, if they are willing
That
to
doesn't
learn,
matter. That's what
they
we're
can be just as
saying.
good.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need talent if you practice
If you're
with this purposeful practice. the laser thinking practice, you will succeed.
Yeah.
But most people are not willing to focus completely. And I think that was a big difference, with the word purposeful. Most people will practice and they will read the book, Gladwell book about the 10,000 hours, and think if they practice for 10,000 hours, they're going to immediately become successful. But you need that purposeful practice. You need to really focus what you're learning. Just spending time learning is too broad, too wide. You need a focus. You need to be moving your learning forwards, and that's really where the purposeful comes in. You need to be moving forward. You've got to push. There needs to be some pressure. And a lot of people won't pressurize themselves. They just want to learn. They like the learning experience. But they're not really willing to focus everything on achieving and moving forward. And that's, again, where the coach helps. They can identify that.
So answering Pat Johnson's question about talent, actually, it depends on where you look at it, Mr. Pat Johnson. You're looking at for yourself, this thing, your skill, your practice is for yourself, or from a perspective of someone else. If you're looking from on the outside, for example, a talent scout or a manager or a producer, of course, you will find someone who's, you can see immediately that learning curve is very short, that he's very, that person is talented. That's why he is willing to invest his time to coach that person into becoming something great, someone great. But if we're talking about this book about ourselves, to coach ourselves or try to improve ourselves, then we're looking from the outside, then we have to create that purposeful practice and set our own objectives. So that's the difference between ourselves and someone else looking at us.
Noted. Thanks, though. I was actually looking from the outside, but thanks for the appreciation.
Okay.
Yeah, may I add?
Yes.
I think in other words, what differentiates from the one who have talent and the one who doesn't have talent, I think is the length of time spent to gain the skill, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to compare with the example from Outliers. What Malcolm put as example in Outliers, like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs and Mozart, I think the situation is different. Maybe those person doesn't have the coach and trainers like what is required in the purposeful practice, but it's in different era, and in those times maybe there's not much competition, and with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, I mean it's the beginning of the technology era. So they're the one who have the practice, so they can more than others. You know what I mean? So maybe they just repeating. They don't have the coach, but there's no competition. They're the one who is the starters. Maybe I can say in the field.
Pioneer.
Yeah, pioneer.
I think also look at prodigies. Very young people who are, say, 4 years of age, who can play piano like a concert pianist. I mean, they've not had the opportunity for the 10,000 hours to kick in. So I think there is some innate ability, there is some inner talent that's born with you. And it's again, I think, that would be an area to study further. People with prodigies, how do they manage? What was their background? What parental support did they get, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, there are some people who are very young and are very able artists, painters, musicians, even sports. They're very good acrobats, for instance. but they've not really had the training or the opportunity of exposure yet.
Yeah.
Well, regarding prodigies, I think that, like I said, hereditary. You know, some people are innate, as you said, really have that ready talent in them. 4 years old, they can become. But again, there's two types of practice.
Yeah.
The two types of practice. One is, for example, piano playing. You can be a successful classical player because what you learn is exactly the same time and time again. You can practice every day and become a good. But to become a Joey Alexander who creates his own music or improvise his own music, that needs talent. Even though you have been coached or trained to reach that certain point, like Joey Alexander who creates his own music or his own arrangements, that needs talent, I think, a special talent. So there is a difference. However, being a prodigy is only for a certain age, Mike. If you reach the age of 15 above, then I think a lot of people would have catch up, and he has to work extra hard to become above the rest. So it's
although I think you also get late developers, you know, academically, people do really badly at school, but once they get out of school, they have a different environment, and then they seem to absorb the learning very quickly and catch up.
Yeah. So there are actually many views related to it, and everybody see in some perspective, and it's very interesting between very talents or in a positive situation is purposeful practice. It can be done whether you're, you know, if it is in the book also mentioned as to have a perfect pitch, yeah, to have a perfect pitch. And whether it is a talent or actually it's mental representations that we will discuss later that happen because of our ability to develop that certain situation that we call it as a gift or a talent. Letters in this book, maybe we can go on to the harnessing adaptability. So there is also a chapter telling about the harnessing adaptability. Like we see here, the brain has to practice, like to be fit, yeah, to be fit in a fitness situation. So it's not only about our muscles that need to practice, our body needs to practice with the muscle, but also our brain need to be practiced to become fit. And this in this chapter is actually there is also a sample of the situation described in a taxi driver in London. Maybe you know about the map in London is very complicated compared to other cities, maybe. So if we want to become a licensed in taxi driver in London, there is a certain task that we have to pass. And there is also a group of people who finally get the license, and the other group of people who stop and don't want to continue the task because they already give up because it's very complex task. And the other is the retired taxi driver. So there is a differences in the brain between the taxi driver. If you are past the tasks and you are still active as a taxi driver, your hippocampus, like something horse shape in our brain, it's get developed and getting larger, while the other person who is maybe already retired and doesn't use this actively, then there is it's not developed, I mean, like that. So the situation is maybe also happen when we learn a new skill compared to we think that we repeat what our already known. It's more effective if we learn something new and trigger, because it's trigger our changes in our brain, and compared to others that who already know it. And also this regular trainings will also challenge, if it is combined with the challenge in the training, it will also make our brain adapts and rewiring itself, so it can increase our ability to get more functions because of the challenges we got in our training. So with deliberate practice, the goal is not to reach the potential, but also to build it. It means that sometimes we think it's impossible, but it can be possible because we have to push our comfort zone, yeah, to challenge with the homeostasis that they mentioned in our brain. This is actually the how about you? Maybe any opinion related to this harnessing adaptability? Do you agree, or maybe have some opinions related to it?
I think everything is connected to the brain. Whether it's knowledge, whether it's skill, it's all in the brain. So
Yeah.
whatever it says about the brain being developed, I agree with it completely.
Yeah. Okay.
There is a lot of,
So-
I think, of value in to be motivated to keep going. I remember when I first learned to scuba dive, one of the things that we had to learn to do was basically swim along with a snorkel, but no mask. So your nose is open to the water. And it took me like 6 weeks, 6 lessons to be able to do that without, swallowing, breathing up my nose, water.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it just happens. Yeah, you can do it. But the first, 5 weeks, it was really terrible, very uncomfortable. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed.
Mhm.
And some people do it instinctively. Yeah, they don't need 5, 6 weeks to learn that.
Mhm.
But for me, I just could not do it. Yeah, I was breathing water because I didn't have my mask on. So again, you need to have that motivation to keep going.
Yeah, motivations. And that inner motivation is powerful, yeah, compared to support from others. And this is actually also maybe relate with the grit, yeah, in the grit books as
I
well.
think where you just triggered something, and you say your inner motivation. I think so many people demotivate themselves. Yeah, they say they cannot do it, and as Henry Ford said, yeah, if you say you can't do it, you're right, you can't do it. Yeah, you need to know you can do it. And even though you stumble a few times, you can do it, you will do it. A lot of people just give up. Yeah, they say, no, I can't do that. It's too difficult.
I think
And
there's
that's a problem.
famous quote from Henry Ford. Is it?
Yeah.
Henry Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Henry
who
Ford.
say they can and they cannot, both are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's really up to us. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
our
yeah.
internal mechanism that is successful and failure.
So it just depends our self-talk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our self-talk.
And also our environment, our friends. I mean, there's that saying, you become the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Yeah. So the people surrounding you will also impact your self-confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
any comments, and Hero?
yeah, adaptability. So the brain adapts to these challenges by rewiring itself. I'm using the example of what Mike suggested about, this is not scuba diving, but snorkeling.
Mm-hmm.
We spend our lives, for example, you're 40 years old or 50 years old, you spend 40 years, 50 years old breathing through your nose, right? Whereas in snorkeling, you have to breathe through your mouth. So your brain is actually trained or wired to breathe through your nose, but then you have to use your snorkel and you have to breathe through your mouth. It takes time to practice to get that, but sometimes it's difficult to adjust your mind, rewire your brain to adapt to this new way of breathing. However, usually the challenge comes when you're in a panic mode. When, for example, you're in your snorkel leaks, for example, then you panic. Then when you panic, this rewiring of your brain sometimes return to your normal instinct, and that is breathing through your nose. So that sometimes create a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
That's why when I was talking about my experience, learning scuba diving, it's really snorkeling. I mean, we did not have the aqualung on. Yeah. And the reason you have to learn this is just that. If somebody kicks your mask off, and it happens a lot, when somebody's getting in or out of a boat, their fins just come through the air and they move your mask off your face. And if you're underwater when that happens, then you could panic. But you need to be able, in that circumstance, instinctively to stop breathing through your nose, because water will just come in. If you have a mask on and a snorkel in your mouth connected to the surface, there's no real problem. Yeah, because you can't do anything wrong. I mean, if you try breathe through your nose, nothing happens. Yeah, but if you breathe through your nose and you haven't got a mask on, you get water up your nose. So yeah, it's learning those basic techniques, and that's again where a coach will keep you going. Yeah, they know what you have to do. Whereas if I was learning scuba diving on my own, I wouldn't necessarily know that was an important technique. So I would do it. I would cheat in a way. I would just put my mask on and swim. Yeah, but the exercise was, swim 100 meters with no mask and just a snorkel in your mouth. So anyway, but yeah, we adapt. We learn. We rewire the brain.
Mike, every time I'm underwater, I always feel like I'm disconnected from the world, and I have no control of myself, and I'm helpless. So that's why I'm really panicked.
Isn't that bliss, though?
I'm really panicked when I'm underwater. So my first attempt to do the diving, I really cannot reach even like 1 meter. And I never want to do it anymore.
I've seen people like you, and a lot of the problem is maybe they started learning in water that was too deep. Yeah, they learn in the sea, not in a swimming pool. I think if you learn in an environment that you have control over, where you can literally stand up if something goes wrong, yeah, you can stand up on the floor of the pool, you don't have that same problem, and you learn, to be a good scuba diver. In the UK, again, I had a lot of novices coming along. They did a complete scuba course in somewhere really warm like Malta or Cyprus, where the water's very calm, very warm. You can see through the water. And they come back to the UK where you cannot see the water. It's cold, you have strong currents. And they say, please teach me from the beginning. I know I'm qualified, I have my certificate to be a diver, but I don't have the confidence to dive in UK waters. Yeah, because they are in a way dangerous. I mean, if you're not trained, they are dangerous. So again, this is that confidence, inner confidence. Yeah, they've done the techniques in warm water with good visibility and no current, but then you take them on a dive in the UK and it's totally different. But the techniques are the same, and they've already learned those motor techniques, those motor skills, but they just haven't got the mental confidence to carry on.
Yeah,
so keep going. Yeah, don't give up diving. just because you feel out of control underwater.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, I also have that experience. The same with Widow, to adjust with the breathing methods. Yeah. So the challenge situation make us adapt. Even therefore, that when we dive into different places, also a learning. So I think when we try to dive in several several places, that it also can help us for a challenge of training, because we adapt with different situations.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. Any other view, or we go on to the next chapters?
We can move
So
on.
we can go on.
Move
So
on.
this is we go on to the mental representation and deliberate practice. What is actually a mental representation? So he also used the chess master. There is a chess master who actually, maybe you also know the other movie, like what Gambit Queen
Queen Gambit.
Queen Gambit. He made
Yep.
her own mental representations by imagine the the big chess player. He played by her mind, yeah, to make some move because of the learning. Then he makes some visual imaginary like that. So it's actually it's a kind of mental representations when we try to visualize it. So even we are in somebody, we didn't see the things, but we have the visualizations in our images, the mental structure that is correspondent with the object or idea or some things that the brain is thinking about. So it's kind of practicing using our visual and imaginations. And in this situation, it's also happened when we want to have a mountain hike, for example, and we can imagine what route that we want to choose, or what path that we visualize that, and that we try to make a mental representations. And also there are many other. So what here, what make a difference, what make us a difference from the performers, or somebody's just so like from everyone else, is the combination between the quality and the quantity of their mental representations, and how we want to have a good quality or great quality of the mental representation. It also relate to our deliberate practice. So the collection of practice make us have good mental representations, and that make us getting better and better. So we develop our own mental representations like that. So from this thought, any other thoughts about the mental representations that maybe you have experienced by using your combination between your visual imaginations, if you want to do something in your mental?
Is this the same as mental visualization?
Yeah, there is actually it's not not totally the same, but it also the easiest way to make it is a collection of our experiences that make us the develop our mental representation. So if mental visualization is, I don't know, I think its representation is more a collection of what we've already learned, and it developed. It's not, yeah, it's developed through our brain.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a little
there
bit like
was.
learning. Go on.
Go ahead,
Go
Mike.
on. You next. No, I was saying this is a little bit like learning to drive a car. Yeah, you can do each individual part of it okay, but when you try and put it all together in one go, your confidence disappears and you have a crash. Yeah, you're juggling. Yeah, you're having to do many things. Yeah, and use many different skills. But eventually, yeah, you overcome the problems, or it becomes automatic in a way. You can visualize what to do. Your body knows instinctively what to do. And after a while, obviously, I mean, those of us that do drive, I mean, we don't know what we're doing because it's automatic. We're on autopilot.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has watched the movie Bee Season about spelling bee champion. I'm not sure it was based on true story or not, but the spelling bee champion, they said, I can see the words. So whenever, the difficult words read to them and they have to spell it even backwards, they said like they can see it.
Have a vision, yeah.
Yeah, like a vision.
Yeah.
So I don't know, when I heard about this mental representation, that's the first thing that it reminds me of that movie.
I think it's a visualization, right?
Yes, visualization.
Yeah.
Well, I think mental, it could be mental representation, it could be mental visualization, it could be mental practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it can all comes down to one group. But the spelling bee, is it a special gift that he can? Is it the writing he can visualize the writing because he has already memorized the writing, or is it because it just pops out from nowhere?
I'm not sure. I think some people are following rules when they create the word, when they create the spelling for the word. I was the judge for spelling bee at Venus NEO, National English Olympics, and we couldn't kill the contestants. They were so good. They kept immediately answering, perfectly. And the team that was generating the questions for me to ask, they were going crazy. They were on the internet getting more and more difficult questions, and the contestants just sailed through all of it. In the end, I mean, we spent an hour and a half longer than we were allowed. We were actually competing in the main auditorium that was going to be used for the prize giving. They had to move us out so they could carry on with the prize giving. And we were there struggling to get rid of these students. So we ended up with a winner, but it took forever. But yeah, I mean, what I noticed there was, people were virtually instantaneous in coming back, with the spelling. And I don't know whether that was learned because obviously they were well-chosen words, they were not common words. So yeah, I mean, maybe people read the dictionary, for fun.
Memorize it.
Yeah.
Usually, the champion now is usually Indians. Indians are very good at.
Yeah, they're minded.
Is there a certain race that has a better ability at memorizing?
Yeah.
Because we see many Indian prodigies that's good in spelling as well as good at mathematics.
Yeah.
So does race have to do with this ability?
I would say it's possibly surroundings. It's the competition that they're brought up in. Yeah, I think in India, you have to be pretty smart and good to get anywhere because there's so many people. Yeah, there is just so much. The volume of competition is so big. So Indians are very much under pressure, really, from when they're born. Yeah, the parental pressure is immense very early on. Because in India, it really is the difference between life and death in a way. Yeah, you either have a job and survive, or you don't have a job and you starve. So there is huge pressure, but they, as you say, that they are very good at things like that.
Yeah.
And programming, I mean, most of Silicon Valley is actually written in India. Yeah, not in the US. I mean, a lot of the programming for Microsoft is Indian
Bangalore, right?
produced.
Bangalore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah, again, whether it's a national thing, I mean, obviously it is because that's what's happening. But why is it a national thing? And I personally think is because the competition that they have from very, very early on in their life. Yeah, they are focusing on beating everybody else very early on.
Yeah, I heard also from one of my colleagues who is Indian. Yeah, he said the same, that the competition is insane, and he has to
Yeah.
keep in the competition.
Yeah,
survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
really, really.
So
But
if population play big roles on this, like Chinese or Indian, what about Indonesia though?
Oh, we're very
Indonesia's
smart
still
also.
asleep. You guys, you got to wake up.
actually, it's very interesting behind our athlete who just won.
Yeah.
Do they have, I mean, like mental representations in them as well? Because of our quality of our mental representation is improved every time we make some practices, and yeah, it's something that we need to improve. So the more we
Compete.
practice,
Yeah.
then it will get improved.
I mean,
So-
I see that.
Indonesia with the fourth largest population in the world, 270 million people, you should have the fourth largest number of medals at the Olympics. And you're 20 or somewhere, maybe lower than 20. Yeah. So again, this is, I think, people are thinking they cannot do it. Yeah. And that's where you need to change the motivation.
Mike, nutrition also, like nowadays people eat carbs.
No, I
jajan.
disagree. I disagree. I'm very, very well nutritioned, and I'm useless at Olympics.
Mm.
because not the purposeful practice. Purpose, it's not
Yeah.
really the goal, maybe.
Population has to be supported by the amount of food, healthy food given.
Yeah.
But I think the winners of this Olympic gold medal, I think it's attitude. I see that those two, the female, actually is history, right? Because the female doubles are seldom win, so they won, and I see that their attitude is quite different from previous. The way they interact with each other, the way they interact with the opponents. I see there's a different mental attitude that I think is supportive to their winning.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is infectious. Yeah. So I think, Indonesia will keep improving. It's a bit like the example I gave of the 4-minute mile. Yeah. Once one person has broken the record,
Yeah.
then you get 5 or 6 people, within 8 months, who are also breaking the record. Nobody's got anywhere near the record for 2,000 years. Yeah, so it's opening up the door, and letting other people in.
And the prize money also
Talking
helps.
about athletes in Indonesia, though, a lot of them still have day job other than being an athlete. So they're not paid as a professional athlete even. So I think that's
Well, you're talking about the Indonesian.
Yeah, it's a huge difference between like more developed countries than Indonesia. When our athletes still need to get a second job to.
Look at the old USSR. Yeah, I don't know if it's still the same with Russia, but if you were good at sport, or even if you weren't good at sports and somebody decided you were going to be good at sports, you were put into a sports academy and you were trained like crazy and you didn't need to work for a living. You were a permanent athlete to get gold medals, for Russia.
Yeah.
and they're a small country. Yeah. So, but the government investment, so to speak, yeah, in training those people is huge. I mean, that's really the deliberate practice. Most countries, you can't do the deliberate bit because you don't have the resources. Yeah, you don't have the money, you don't have the time, you don't have maybe the facility. You know, if you're a swimmer, you need to have a swimming pool available to you. Yeah, and if you don't live in an area with a good swimming pool, you're never going to get the practice. So you will never become a champion.
So it has to be supported by infrastructure.
Infrastructure,
yeah.
the system.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
Well, I think
And
a
I think
mental
that's where
barrier.
get rid of the mental barriers.
Yeah, I think mental it happens a lot during even Japan previously before they became a economic giant. They had mental barriers. They had to. The Asians were always being dogma that they were less than the Caucasian. Even Japan had to beat the Russians in getting the islands. Sakhalin, I forgot the name of the island, just to prove that Asians can can beat the Caucasians, the Russians. And that also infectious, of course. They proved that when they occupied Indonesia at that time. It's also proved to us that the Japanese can beat the foreigners. So it's also a way of now this can also happen also if we prove that we can win gold medals and get 5 billion rupiahs, then I think it will smash a lot of barriers. People can get motivated.
So we'll see you in 2 years' time.
I remember when Jokowi in our Southeast Asian Games last some years ago, they have a prize to the winners, and that's also a good,
1,5 miliar.
1.5.
There's a step up. Now it's 5.
Although
5, 2, and 1.
Although 5 million is Atta Halilintar's monthly pay. for our athlete, it's really hard to get it.
That's why become YouTuber becomes more interesting. But maybe if there is some concrete example, it can give more people inspirations, and also that I agree with that the price that need to be like appreciate better, our athletes. So we go to the next slide. It's related to the deliberate practice. If we see here that the deliberate practice is also the combinations of it's like a purposeful practice that we already discussed before, we start from the find the teacher of substitute, and also it's related to our SMART goal and practice with focus. Focus will be the crucial thing. Presentations, because if we are distracted, then or we're not focused on doing things, that it cannot make smooth. And also get feedback. Feedback is important in deliberate practice, because if we want to improve, we have to work with our feedbacks, or unless we also get satisfied in our current condition. And also it's just like a cycle, and just like Mike said, that we need to maintain the motivations. The motivations become the central of our practice, because without it, we cannot go on into the cycles. And what we see here is also we push ourselves into the comfort zone through our limits. If we have passed the uncomfortable situations, then we can sometimes learn something. So this is the combinations, the difference between just practice. The curves can be go down because we're not improving, because we practice without purpose. while deliberate practice is practice with purpose, which means that there is improving stage situations like been described in these pictures. So what do you think about this deliberate practice approach?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree.
And with the deliberate practice, you also get insight learning, I think. Yeah, where you go to a certain level and sort of plateau, and then all of a sudden you go jump up. So it's very much like a stepping stone. Yeah, stairs, you go up the stairs.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like catching a fish. You know, when you catch a fish, you caught a fish, you cannot reel in the line all the time. You
Yeah.
have to like loosen it up again, reel it
Yes,
back in
yeah, yeah.
again.
Yeah.
One step back, two steps forward, one step back to it.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like that. So the graph is a nice picture. I like that. It looks like snakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then
So-
again, there has to have a methodology in doing that. Yeah, you have to either have a good teacher or learn by yourself with a good curriculum that you find online.
Yeah.
So you know the steps when to step back and move forward again. That's important.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think there was also that comment in the book that people who are basically self-taught without a tutor can progress and can develop new headroom. Yeah, they develop something different than what everybody else is doing, but it's progress. Yeah.
Okay. So there's also a benefit in not having a tutor, right?
I would say it's a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
can learn
it's in a
something
way,
new.
it's luck. Yeah. It's a little bit like hit and miss, maybe. Yeah. I
It's
think
like-
if you had a tutor, you wouldn't need to wait. It would come earlier.
It's like Alif Bata, YouTuber, who plays the guitar. All
Yeah.
of the trained musician finds him playing incredible because it's not like conventional playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of musicians like that. There was a local bassist who had his string, who played the bass guitar differently because he set his strings differently. So if he lends that guitar to someone who can play, they will have difficulty in playing because that's self-taught. He created a new system. You know, I coming back to piano lessons. Yeah, you know, I'm always surprised why do classical players only learn to read the book?
Or read
Why is
music.
that? Yeah, read music. Because I've seen so many people who learn classical music. They're only taught to read music and some theory, but never really let them create their own music by learning chords. So I think there's a method of training. I think it's quite deliberate so that the students play the music as is. They don't put in their own. So, but then again, it sacrifices the creativity of that student. He become a good pianist, but yeah.
And I think the comment in the book was when you're doing sort of regular normal training to get you to perfection for what you are expected to perform in a concert, but when the real learning comes in is when you give all of that away and you just go for it. Yeah, you're on your own, you're sitting in front of your piano, and then you start improvising. And that's where you make these insight learning steps. Yeah, all of a sudden you jump up in ability level. And it is just because you give up all of the constraints that you're working under to perform a set piece, you know, written by a famous musician 300 years ago. And that's the success, is to be able to do that perfectly. And that's why you need to read the music. But as I say, I mean, you look at all the jazz musicians, I mean, they're improvising. They don't have the music written down word for, you know, note for note. And they make great music.
Yes. Yeah. That is actually a kind of learnings when we, for example, we want to break the current practices. I mean, sometimes we are dealing with the certain curriculum like we study, but there is also room for us to break some, I mean, like creativity. There is room for creativity, so we can develop more, but also there is a room in the certain situations that we need what it should be. Then there is after we reach that what it should be, and then there is a creativity that we not to different approach in the situations that to it's also dealing with our plateau that will be mentioned before, because we think that we have perfect, but actually not. There is no perfect, because everything is moving like a dynamic. I mean, like there is no perfect things in life, I guess. Like we need to find different approach. We need to find creativity to explore new ways of learnings, new ways of musics, and maybe we create or write the new musics. It's also give the room like that for the deliberate practice. And in details, it's also explained about how deliberate practice actually involves us also in modifying things. So it's not only about we get satisfied with our current situations, but it also give modifications on what we've learned, and that's is make us improve and learning some things. And so how it's deliberate practice in job and daily life, that maybe we can reflect to our own experiences. Like for example, like in job, there is a optimistic approach that the deliberate practice mindsets also possible only like improvement is possible only participant if we think some things not as usual practice. So we explore ourselves into creativity, what things that better to do things, and to find our ways to do some possibility, and also some room of making mistake maybe. And the deliberate practice also offer some view that anyone can improve, anyone can be to the positions that they want to be, but it also requires some certain approach. Maybe if it in the situation, if, for example, because I'm in human resources, maybe I would like to say that there is a certain position, situations that people think that they are good enough, but actually because of the changes in the situation outside, their skill is not good enough into the situations. Therefore, that they need to challenge themselves to improve, because the expectation is moving. Maybe he or she is good in the past, but because of the challenge of expectations, that they make people needs to improve and adjust with the or adapt with the certain situations. And also in that situation, we have in the talent approach, people who just thinks that they get bored because they are doing the same things from several years, and demotivate because they think that they are bored or in the plateau situations. And it's also needs to be challenged, like doing coaching, or what we call it a different coaching approach to coach people who are maybe in the plateau situations. They need a coach to make them inspired what things that interest them, or maybe they need to find a way. So it's not give up on the situations that maybe in current cases like that. And in daily life, maybe you want to share before going to some, or whether it is in job or daily life, what things that we can implement the deliberate practice, or maybe the combinations, not only deliberate practice. I think there are also other ways. Maybe you can have some ideas. Anyone? But Imo, want to share, because you are in a learning and development, and maybe you have some situations that in the job, or whether it is can be implemented in the daily life.
I know somehow, well, deliberate practice is okay, but other things around us actually also play big roles. That's what I believe. This story or your presentation reminded me of a story. This might not be a usual story about Eric the Eel. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is about a guy who comes from small country. I think it was Guinea. I can't remember. It's just small country in Africa. Who got a good lottery for Olympic in Australia a long time ago, to be able to send a sportsman there for competing, and they got swimming competition. Well, in fact, the country doesn't have a decent, good swimming pool for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the country sent an announcement to the people who wants to go to Australia to compete, and it turned out only one guy came. And this guy doesn't know how to swim well, like,
yeah,
you know, but it turned out, true to the faith and the faith, faith and faith, I don't know how to say that. Jadi rasa percaya dan nasib gitu ya.
Nasib.
Yeah, he became a champion just because the other two, while competing, was actually disqualified.
Oh, there is a factor of that luck also, yeah.
Yeah, but so he competed by himself in the swimming pool, even though it was like 2 minutes time for the swimming. But after
Still
that,
the best.
yeah. What was
You're
that?
still the best.
But after that, he went back to his country and he became a coach for swimming. And the country has like now developed, you know, a good swimming pool for that. So, I mean, deliberate practice. He practiced in the river, together with some fishermen. He may not be the champion, but somehow he succeeded because of that. So if you only believe in deliberate practice, either in job or daily life, but do not believe in other factors, I don't think it will help. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yes, there are also lots of factors, whether in this is, there are lots of perspective that we can get from this. Thank you, Mbak Imung, for sharing. Just to remind us that deliberate practice is one of the perspective that with the neuroscience approach mentions there. And maybe you have some insight from our today's discussions. Anyone, based on what we've shared?
First of all, thank you so much, Ragil, for presenting the content of this book. I'm happy that you chose this book, and it reminds us a lot about how to get the most of our learning. Although a lot of the contents are not that new, like in the sense we have heard that before, but I think it's important to be reminded from time to time. So I'm really happy with the discussion today. Thank you, Radio.
Yes, you're welcome. So yeah, the idea is actually mentioned in several books, right? Yeah. If we see that actually, I don't know which one come first, but it's mentioned in the grid. It's also mentioned in certain books, not only this, and there are lots of versions of the deliberate practice actually. And do you have any insight? Maybe I want to hear, is there somebody that I haven't heard the voice?
There's
Like,
Maya, there's Ellie, there's Fitri,
like
Irti.
Mbak Irti, Mbak Lismayana, or okay, so I would like to hear.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Stop share. Okay, stop share, and we want to discuss about our insights during today's discussions.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Irti speaking. Sorry, I cannot start my video because I'm not wearing a really appropriate hijab actually this evening. But it's kind of, I lost a lot in this evening discussion because I just joined like 5 minutes ago, but I really would love to have the slide if it may be shared because I haven't saw it, but maybe I will watch the YouTube after all. About the peak, what I know much is like about the really, for me, I don't know about the discussion, I'm sorry about that, but for me the book is quite adventurous somehow. It's kind of suspenseful for me, but maybe I didn't pay too much on focus of that, but it's kind of fun for me, for myself. But I really do hope that all of us could able to reach our peak, no matter what time us right now. I mean, like for me, I'm in this age, I feel like I haven't reached my peak. So I'll try to do the deliberate practice and all of the other things that might be useful for me.
Hello?
Yeah, last words are inaudible. Irti.
Mbak Irti. So I think we
Breaking
lost.
up.
Sorry for not being able to attend the meeting this evening from the beginning. It's my baby was a little bit.
Thank you. But I really appreciate that you try
sorry
to.
about that. Yeah.
Can I say something first?
Yeah, the signal's not.
Hello?
The signal, I think there's a signal problem.
Sorry.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Mbak Pipit.
Can please vote for the next books because we have a lot of ties at the moment. So I know Pak Wido not yet, Ragil not yet, Ellie not yet, Miss Mayana not yet,
Okay.
Nurul not yet. Everyone else did it already. So please, I put the link on this chat box, but also in our WhatsApp group. We currently have ties, so we need to decide the books, okay?
Okay, now, right now.
And Pipit, for the next selection, put one on how to learn to play the piano. We seem to talk about piano playing a lot.
What? Sorry, I cannot hear you.
I said for the next selection, in 3 months' time, add one book on how to learn to play the piano.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be very important tonight.
Where is Pak Wido? I want to learn
Pak Wido then should be our presenter. Yes, I will upload it on YouTube, yeah. And Irti, I think although you don't get the slide from Ragil, you can always screenshot the slide from the video. That's what I did also just now. I screenshot. It's pretty good. Yeah, the slides provided by Ragil.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's good. We'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, should I share the ties right now? So people
No,
can see?
let it run another couple of days.
Oh yeah, okay. I
how
don't want
many-
to influence their preference, yeah?
No.
Okay, so please,
How many have voted so far?
how many? 10
Already
responses.
voted.
Okay, Ellie just did, Ragil just did, Pak Steve Penkosasih just did. Now, do we have a winner? Let me see. Oh, we still have a tie. So
Yeah, I would leave it. Let it run at
please,
least another one day, maybe to get more participation.
yeah, but at least we have top 3. So
Okay.
yeah. All right. So should we close this meeting?
I think
Yes,
so.
yes.
Thank you
Yes,
so much,
okay.
Thank you so much,
Ragil.
Ragil.
So-
That was a great
Thank
one.
you.
Thank you so
Very
much,
well
Ragil.
prepared.
See you next time.
So don't forget photos.
Thank you.